ABC General Hospital spoilers. Willow's verdict brings freedom and a far darker prison. ABC General Hospital spoilers reveal that the long-awaited verdict in the shocking case involving Drew Kane has finally been delivered, and the courtroom trembled as Willow was officially declared not guilty. On the surface, it should have been a moment of relief, a clean slate, a chance to breathe again. But for Willow, the verdict did not bring peace. It opened something far more dangerous. As the public celebrates her freedom, Willow is quietly unraveling. The legal maneuvering, the altered timelines, the carefully shaped testimony, all of it now presses against her mind with suffocating force. Because the truth she once claimed to have lost has returned in full. Willow's memory is no longer fractured. The gunshot, the rush of adrenaline, the fear, the exact moment her finger pulled the trigger. Each detail replays relentlessly, leaving her haunted by the knowledge that she is not the innocent woman the jury believes her to be. In many ways, this internal reckoning is a punishment harsher than any prison sentence. She cannot escape it. Her mind will not allow her to forget. With every passing hour, Willow's sense of reality shifts. The storyline built on confusion and sympathy is cracking under the weight of guilt. She can no longer hide behind lost memories or fabricated innocence. Her freedom, though legally real, feels psychologically hollow, and that freedom is far more fragile than anyone realizes. Drew, still unaware, or pretending to be unaware, that Willow was the one who shot him, now holds an unspoken power over her. At any moment, he could expose the truth and destroy everything she has fought to protect: her children, her reputation, her future. Instead of celebrating vindication, Willow finds herself trapped in a new kind of imprisonment, one not built from prison walls, but from Drew's quiet, calculated control. This marks one of the most chilling shifts in Willow's storyline. Drew doesn't need a courtroom to punish her. He only needs her fear, and Willow knows it. Even declared innocent, she remains bound to him, forced into silence, submission, and constant vigilance. She is free, yet endlessly monitored. Innocent, yet profoundly guilty. Every decision she makes must now be measured against Drew's unpredictable judgment. Beneath that pressure, a deeper battle begins to form. A fight for psychological survival, dignity, and the last shred of autonomy she still possesses. Complicating everything is Michael. Willow cannot bear the thought that Michael might somehow become entangled in the shooting, or worse, be blamed for her actions. The possibility alone fractures what little emotional stability she has left. Guilt consumes her, pushing her closer to a breaking point she can no longer deny. As Drew's silent control tightens and the truth claws at her conscience, Willow begins to see only one possible escape: confessing everything to Michael. But that imagined confession becomes its own torment. She fears his anger, his heartbreak, his disappointment, yet she fears even more that her silence could ultimately destroy him. Telling the truth might save her, or ruin everything she still desperately hopes to protect. And that devastating question now defines Willow's future. One thing is certain: Willow may have escaped the courtroom, but she has stepped into a far more dangerous arena, where the enemy is not the law, but the man who knows her secret. And if she cannot reclaim control, her future will no longer belong to her. General Hospital spoilers hint that Michael Corinthos' trial could be next. It might bring Diane Miller's chance to drag Willow Kane through the mud as part of her own defense strategy. Alexis Davis was torn about whether to move forward with her closing argument, knowing Willow was guilty. That last-minute ringtone evidence really caught Alexis off guard and left her wondering if she could convince the jury to vote not guilty. However, Diane convinced Alexis to avoid getting disbarred again and placate Drew Kane, since this is her only path to scout Quartermain access. As a result, Alexis lied as she gave her summation and played up Michael's guilt instead of Willow's. Thanks in part to the focus Alexis gave Michael as an alternative suspect, he's going to face some trouble when Willow's trial is over. It looks like Willow's acquittal will pave the way for Michael to take some heat as Drew's possible shooter. GH fans know Willow is the one responsible, But ADA Justine Turner will shift her concentration to Michael once Willow's off the table. This is just what Drew's been hoping for, since he'd like to see Michael land behind bars for the crime. Drew is counting on Michael getting a lengthy prison sentence so that Willow can get full custody back. Whether things get that far or not, Michael could indeed get arrested and go on trial next. If GH writers really want to get the maximum drama out of this storyline, they may let Michael face a tense trial of his own. That could give Diane a chance to defend Michael and prove there's been a major miscarriage of justice. Diane may argue that the jury got it wrong and offer up evidence that Willow should have been convicted. Perhaps this could lead to the ringtone shocker coming to light in court. Maybe even with Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson's testimony. Trina and Kai may decide they're done protecting themselves, especially since Trina's already worried that Jocelyn Jax's brother could legitimately go to prison for a crime he didn't commit. True justice won't be served due to double jeopardy, but Diane could still make it known that Willow is guilty and that Michael must be acquitted. General Hospital spoilers say ADA Turner will go after Sonny Corinthos' son in a big way. So stick with us for updates on any trial news that might await Michael. In the January 14th episode of General Hospital, Carly overhears a private exchange that ties Sidwell, Britt, and Spoon Island together in a way that could expose a dangerous operation and put Carly directly in its line of fire. What begins as a moment of curiosity quickly becomes a liability, as Carly realizes she now knows something she was never meant to hear. And that knowledge may already be making her a target. Key takeaways. Carly snuck into Jack's room and accidentally overheard him pressuring Britt to continue her work on Spoon Island. Britt made it clear she didn't want to be involved anymore. But Jack reminded her that her choices are limited and that Sidwell still expected results. The moment Carly reacted, Jack heard the noise and stormed into the bathroom with a gun, catching her hiding. Carly played it off as a romantic surprise, but the near exposure rattled her. What she had heard confirmed that something significant is happening on Spoon Island. Something secret, coordinated, and clearly dangerous. Meanwhile, on Spoon Island, Valentine admitted to Ava that he was hiding from authorities and that Sidwell didn't want the WSB to know he was there. Ava realized Sidwell was shielding someone, but Sidwell later denied Valentine was his responsibility, asking Ava to stay quiet. Elsewhere, Anna was captured and restrained by Sidwell's people. She was injured, bleeding, and kept isolated while Sidwell and an associate discussed what to do with her, including whether she was more trouble than she was worth. Why it matters for Carly. Carly's eavesdropping puts her into a story she doesn't fully understand, but is now tangled inside. She doesn't just know there's a secret, she knows where it connects. Spoon Island isn't just a hiding place, it's a hub. Britt isn't just reluctant, she's trapped. And Sidwell isn't just watching. He's managing multiple pieces of a covert operation while actively silencing threats. Anna's capture changes everything. She represents institutional pressure, the one person who could force this operation into daylight. With Anna gone, Sidwell and his associates gain time, but they also gain urgency. Loose ends become liabilities. Carly becomes one of those liabilities. The fallout for Port Charles. Carly now holds dangerous information without realizing how visible she already is. Jack knows she overheard something. Britt knows Carly was in the room. Valentine knows Spoon Island matters. Ava knows someone is being hidden, and Sidwell knows someone is listening. This isn't a story about what Carly will do. It's about what the people around her will do to protect what they're hiding. Sidwell is already deciding who stays and who disappears. Anna is already isolated. Britt is already being squeezed. Carly's position is no longer neutral, it's exposed. Chase faces a reckoning, while Laura pushes back, and Carly fears the worst. The next General Hospital spoilers video for Thursday, January 15th, 2026, shows Chase wondering if he's a fool, while Laura insists the situation has gone far enough. And Carly warns Jason that Britt is sliding backward. Key takeaways. Chase tells Brooklyn, "You must really think I'm a fool." He's probably beating himself up for trying to prove Willow's innocence, which caused him to get suspended from the PCPD. However, the teasers show that Brooklyn defends Chase, so she's probably telling him to stop fretting because his heart was in the right place. Laura emphatically informs someone, "It's got to stop." She's got a lot on her plate lately, and her nerves must be shot. Meanwhile, Lulu says to Nathan, "You must want to kill me for letting this happen on my watch." What could have happened on her watch? Perhaps James got into some trouble while she was taking care of the kids. At Emma's door, Gio asks, "Do you realize it's winter?" She's in a bathing suit, grabs him to pull him in, and states, "Not in here." The teasers also show that Emma and Gio take a step forward in their relationship, and considering Anna is nowhere to be found, they're probably going to dance between the sheets. Carly warns Jason she is reverting back to the old Britt. She may not tell Jason what she overheard in Jack's hotel room with Britt, but Jason knows that Britt's in a tough position. He may not want to share all of her personal info, but should assure Carly that there's a reason for Britt's actions. And Jocelyn tells Britt he always gets what he wants, whether you like it or not. They're probably talking about Sidwell, who pretty much said that in the last episode. On General Hospital, Alexis Davis finds herself standing at the most dangerous crossroads of her legal career, torn between professional ethics, maternal love, and a truth that could shatter multiple lives. There is no denying that Alexis has worked relentlessly to protect her client, Willow, doing everything within her power to help her clear the serious charges tied to Drew Kane's shooting. While her motivation is partly personal, Alexis desperately wants continued access to Scout. Her actions are also driven by a deep sense of professional responsibility. As a defense attorney, she believes every client deserves unwavering advocacy, no matter how complicated the case becomes. However, Sonny Corinthos is far from pleased with the aggressive legal strategy Alexis has employed, particularly her relentless pursuit of Michael Corinthos in court. Sonny fears that if Willow is ultimately declared innocent, the spotlight of suspicion could swing dangerously toward Michael. That possibility alone is enough to unsettle him. Sonny urges Alexis to exercise restraint, hoping she will make fair and measured choices that do not place Michael in legal jeopardy or force him into a brutal courtroom battle. As viewers have already learned, the situation grows far more explosive when Alexis uncovers a devastating truth. Willow was the one who actually fired the gun that wounded Drew. This revelation comes after Kai and Trina share crucial information with Alexis, prompting her to investigate further. When she examines Willow's call log, the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. Willow placed a call to her mother at the exact moment Drew was shot. The timeline confirms what Alexis feared most. Armed with this knowledge, Alexis faces an impossible decision. Should she reveal the truth in court and risk destroying Willow's life, or continue shielding her client and compromise her own ethical standing? In the January 13th episode, Alexis confides in Diane Miller, laying bare the emotional and professional nightmare she is trapped in. Diane's response is chillingly direct. If Alexis knowingly allows the case to collapse during closing arguments or conceals material evidence, she could face disbarment, losing her law license and her career forever. Diane also warns that Drew would never believe his own wife could be responsible for the attack. Worse still, if Alexis pushes too hard to expose the truth, she may permanently lose access to Scout. The stakes could not be higher. Alexis ultimately realizes that Scout is the most important thing in her life, and that realization strongly suggests she will continue defending Willow, despite the moral cost. But the story is far from over. In a dramatic twist, Christina accidentally overhears a private conversation between Alexis and Diane in the upcoming episode. Once Christina learns that Willow is the shooter, she becomes determined to expose the truth at all costs. Her motivation is clear: protecting her brother Michael from becoming the next target of a criminal investigation. Spoilers hint that Christina will make a last-minute appearance in court, one that could turn the entire case upside down. If she follows through, This bold move may prove to be the most courageous and consequential decision she has ever made on General Hospital. We see a replay of Carly rushing into Jack's Metro Court bathroom and changing into a robe as Britt tells Jack that Sidwell wants her to finish the work on Spoon Island, and there is no way she can slip data off the island undetected. Carly continues to listen in as Jack tells Britt that the only reason she hasn't been arrested is that she's useful to him. Jack orders Britt out, and then hears the shower running. He grabs his gun, heads into the bathroom, and shocks Carly, who is pretending to do her makeup. They head out to the main area, and Jack yells that he came close to shooting her and asks what she is doing in his room. She claims she wanted to surprise him, and she guesses that was a bad idea. He says she can never do that again, especially with Valentine out there somewhere. He says he almost lost her to Valentine once, and that was when he realized how deeply he was in love with her. Carly eventually heads off when Jack gets a text and duty calls. At Windermere, Ava catches Valentine searching the fireplace for the switch to the secret passage, which she reveals she got rid of. She didn't know he knew Jen's, and Valentine says they go way back. Valentine does his best to bluff Ava, and she offers to go get Jen's for him. Valentine says he would rather not anger Sidwell, as he's supposed to stay invisible during the day. Ava says she's sure he'd like to see him and goes to call Pascal, but Valentine disappears. Down in her cell, before Anna can escape, another man grabs and knocks her out. Sidwell shows up and learns what happened from the mystery man. He says Anna didn't see his face and, thankfully, has no idea where she is. Jen sends Pascal up to send Ava home, and Sidwell argues with the man about Anna, whom the man calls a distraction from their work. They must finish Faison's work, so they need a more permanent solution to the problem of Anna. The man fears that too many people are becoming aware of their work, especially after the disaster with Dalton. Sidwell blames Britt for what happened at the Five Poppies. The man says Britt is a handful, but she is the only one who can deliver a working prototype. Sidwell knows having both Britt and Anna here is risky, but even if Britt came across Anna, she wouldn't be able to tell anyone. In the living room, Pascal tells Ava that Jens has been called into an important meeting, so she should head home. Ava says she needs to speak with Jens about his house guest, and she doesn't mean Lucas. Pascal goes down to the tunnels to fetch Sidwell, saying that Ava needs to see him and that he should attend to this matter. Sidwell leaves, and Pascal apologizes to the man and says he won't let Anna fool him again. The man tells Pascal that Anna won't be here much longer. Sidwell meets with Ava in the living room and says she ran into his house guest on the way out. He is confused, and she says he can trust her. But is it really a good idea to be helping Valentine? Down in the tunnels, Anna begins waking up on the floor in her room. The man tells Pascal to stick to the protocol and to remember that Anna is always smarter than he is. Anna screams, "Who is keeping me here? What do you want?" She passes out, and Pascal says he's not falling for her tricks again and walks off. However, it appears not to be a trick. At the hospital, Jason checks in with Liz about Britt, and she says she should be back later. Jason goes to leave, but the head nurse stops him and asks if he's upset with her for having compassion for Willow. Jason isn't angry with her, and she did the right thing and told the truth on the stand. They discuss the trial and who may have actually shot Drew. Jason says Drew pushed a lot of people to the brink. Liz still can't believe Willow took Drew back and must be in denial about how many mistakes she's made. Jason feels the kids are the real victims here and says even if Drew lets Scout see her family, that doesn't include Danny. Liz has to get back to work and says she'll let Britt know he was looking for her. That's when Jason runs into Brad, who orders him to stay away from Britt. Brad says every time he rescues Britt, he makes her think she can count on him. But Carly or Danny will always come first. Britt shows up, and she gives Jason a moment of her time. Frustrated, Brad asks Liz for her opinion about Britt and Jason. Liz agrees Britt isn't good for Jason, but there is nothing they can do but stay out of it. Jason asks Britt if she'd like to go on an official date with him. She asks if it's because of the kiss on New Year's. He admits he liked seeing her on New Year's and would like to see her again. Alexis returns to her office to find Sonny waiting there. She assumes he's here because she implicated Michael for a crime he didn't commit. Alexis says she is sorry, But Michael isn't her priority. Scout is. Failing to acquit Willow would mean Scout would see none of Sam's family until she is 18, and that would give Drew time to warp her mind against them. She also says Michael likely won't be charged if Willow is acquitted, but Sonny knows that Drew and the DA will want someone to take the fall for this. Alexis did what she had to do, even if it meant jeopardizing their friendship. Sonny says she hasn't lost his friendship, and she thanks him for being understanding. Sonny knows Michael is a grown man with resources, while Scout is a little girl with a vindictive little man for a father, who is a sorry excuse for a human being, and she deserves better. In her office, Sonny tells Alexis that if the jury finds Willow not guilty, at least she's not a danger to the community. Alexis mumbles, "I hope not." Sonny doesn't see Willow being capable of shooting Drew. Alexis asks, what if she did it? Sonny says there is a thin line between love and hate, and even good people can be pushed to do bad things. Britt admits she enjoyed spending New Year's with Jason too. Jason says they should go out on a date then. She asks where they'd go. He says she'd have to trust him. At Windermere, Ava tells Jens that she suspected Valentine was lying to her, but played along. Sidwell assures her that Valentine is not his guest, and he'll have his team sweep the island. He asks Ava not to mention this to anyone, and she says he can count on her. In his room, Jack meets with the man working with Sidwell, whom he calls Director Cullum, and says he would have offered to come see him at the office. The man says they have a situation. We've lost Anna. Carly meets back with Valentine in her attic and learns he was caught by Ava. Carly calls this a disaster. But Valentine is certain Sidwell won't want the police involved, as what he's hiding is on Spoon Island. Finally, in her room, Anna gets herself up and to the couch, but is clearly weak. She begins to bleed from the nose and gasps, "Oh, God, no." On the next General Hospital, Jason and Britt go to the hatchet range on a date, and Gio and Emma also spend some alone time together. Also, find out more spoilers for Thursday, January 15th, right here. Subscribe for more.